And we're back. It's Marcy and Chunk again from Chunky Knitted Creations Yarn by Marcy and Maya. And today I have a very exciting tutorial for you. We are going to make a plushie, my first plushie video, and it's going to be a cow, just like this one. Okay, I'm going to make the smaller version from what's in the picture, and I'll just kind of coach you through how to make the bigger one because they're kind of the same. So let's get started. You're going to need your trusty scissors, a lighter of your choice, or whatever you want to do to connect your yarn. And for this one, we are going to use my brand new signature color pink truffle chunky chenille yarn that I just launched in my Amazon store. And you can't really see the color very clear with my camera because it just doesn't pick up light well, even with my ring light. But this lighter color here is actually a very light pink. So you've got a light pink, beige, and an ivory, and then a nice almost black color. So I named it Pink Truffle, and we are going to make a cow with it. And for accents, you're going to need, if you want to put eyes and nose on the face, they sell these on Amazon, and I will link them. You can use these for the bigger ones. They're little press-on eyes, so they have these little attachers, fasteners I call them, that you'll push this through and connect it. These are not child safe, so if you're making this for a child, I suggest just using pom-poms and glue them on. There's also kits that you can get that have just plain colored, like solid dark brown eyes and noses and all that. Sorry, I should have opened these first, but they just have bigger brown ones in there. And again, I'll try to link all this in the comments for you. But you can go to your local craft store and get assorted sizes of little pom-poms that you can go on for the eyes and for the nostrils also. Okay, and for glue, I use my favorite Go-Go Nova cordless rechargeable hot glue gun. It comes with a stand. This is my favorite because you don't got to deal with the cord. Stays charged forever. It's a built-in stand. And for chunky yarn, I find the best kind of glue sticks are the brand of Surebonder. They work really, really good on any type of fabric, actually. So if you're going to use hot glue on fabric, these stick great. I use them for iron-on patches too. All right, so you're going to need, depending on how big you want to make your cow, but for the smaller one in the picture, 1 skein should be enough. So we are going to start this out by unwinding our yarn, finding the end. This is going to start out just like a hat, or let's see, what else did I do that was round the other day? Oh, the pillow that I made, the pillow that accented the bed runner. So anyways, you're going to use your round base, and we're going to be cinching it, so you need to leave a tail. For this one, I'm going to make a smaller one just so it'll go by quicker. I'm not big on patterns, just so you know. I usually just kind of wing it. Unless it's something I'm going to sell a lot of, then I'll write down how many I cast it on and the dimensions of it so that I keep recreating it, the same one for the same price. So I'm just going to do a smaller one with a cast on of, we'll do 12 just to make it decent sized actually. So let's do about a 8 to 10 inch tail that we're going to leave. So start a chain just like you would for a blanket. Make a loop, pull through your working yarn. Sorry, I'm working backwards here. Let me get my yarn out in front of me. All right, let's start that again. All right, there's your tail, always to that side of you. This is my left. And make your loop, pull it through. You're going to make small stitches for this cast on chain. Maybe 2, actually let's go a little smaller so that we don't have any holes in it. Okay, oh, another thing you're going to need is polyfill. Whenever you're making anything that you're going to stuff like a pillow or a plushie, you use polyfill. For pillows, of course, you can use inserts. All right, so let's pull through just like we're making a blanket. Okay, let me get some of this yarn out of the way so you can see better. There's 2, cast on 3, push your yarn through the back, pull it through the hole, make a chain just like you would for a blanket or anything else. 6, going to learn a technique called decreasing, so that you will, for the neck of the cow, we want to not make it just a solid straight up piece. We want it to curve in a little bit so he looks like he has a neck. So we're going to decrease the stitches when we get up towards the neck part. Okay. I did not pre-wash this yarn. I like to pre-wash my mixed colors because sometimes they fade onto each other, and if you wash, that should come out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need 2 more. 11 and 12. All right, there you have 12. And then you're going to want to clip so that you make your circle for the base. Okay, just like we did in the hat video. Put this through your loop, and what I do is I put it through the loop, but I also put it through the top of the second stitch, so to secure it even more. Okay, and pull through. Make sure that your chain stays flat. Okay, pull that through. Now, if you want, you can clip that there so that it's, you know, holds still for you while you're knitting. Make sure that this doesn't twist. Okay, so I'm going to just hold it together. Pull your tail through so that you get to your top of your stitches. Bring your yarn around. Okay, so that it looks like this now. Keep it from twisting. Sorry, I'm fuzzy in there. It's driving me nuts. Alright, go through your first stitch. Okay, and that loop that you made in the beginning that you pulled your tail through, that makes a loop stick up, so that's your first one. 1, 2, 3, and just pull through the top of each stitch. 3, 4. Make these small and tight so that you don't see any of your polyfill poking through later on. Okay, the tighter you knit, the better. You can also purl stitch these. I haven't shown you purl stitch yet, but it's basically the reverse of the knit stitch. Instead of bringing your yarn through the back, you push it through the front. And that is also, if you look at any blanket that you've made and you just flip it over, the other side of it is a purl stitch. So you can purl your plushies. Some people like to do that just for a different look. Or you can even knit this whole thing and then just flip it inside out before you close it up, and then it's purled. Purl stitch is not a big deal, so don't let that scare you. Now, since I did not clip it together, I'm just going to use my tail as my marker. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches exactly. Okay. So, where did I leave off? Here we go. I'm going to pull through there. And I am just going to knit until I get it to where I think I like the size of about how tall it's going to be up until its neck. And then I will cinch up the bottom. Let's see if I want to go any further. So study the picture that I posted in the beginning very well. Again, I'll try to remember to post that in the comments for you too. Fuzzies drive me nuts when I'm knitting. Just knitting around in a circle, just like I did for that round pillow that I did in the bed runner video, or the round pillow video, and like I did in my hat tutorials. There's a great tutorial here on my channel that shows you how to make 3 different types of hats. The pom-pom hat, which I did it as a Santa hat, but it would be the same pattern for any other color or any other type of pom-pom beanie. And then there was a beret and a skull cap. because you could make all out of chunky yarn. Unwind some more of this nice fluffy chenille. I'm telling you, you guys are going to love this. It's better than what you can buy in the craft stores. Fluffier, stronger. I really did my research and got lots and lots of samples and compared them all. I ended up paying a little bit more than I wanted, but I wanted high quality because I am not just one of the people that are going to go out there and sell junk. I'm only going to sell what I would want to buy and what I would use personally if I was making a blanket for my family. You just turn and knit, turn and knit. Get this a little closer for you so you can see what I'm doing. Some people like to take this and fold it in half and then knit, you know, and flip it over and knit. But I find that when you do that, your two on the end right here end up having a big gap. So I don't recommend it, but if you're very self-conscious about it, make sure that you check that gap, so you don't get a big hole when you're making a plushie. It's not so bad on a hat because, you know, their knitted hats are supposed to have holes. This yarn I had laying around my living room for a while, so it picked up some fuzzies and maybe a little bit of cat hair. That's why I like to, when I order my yarn, I leave it in those vacuum sealed packages so that nothing gets on it and it takes up a lot less space. And then just take it out and let it sit for a couple hours before I use it. And sometimes, like this one, I took it apart and let it all fluff up for a couple hours, and then I wound it back up into a ball so I didn't have that gigantic mess like I did in my last video. Just to make it a little neater. And I've got another invention coming, excuse me, this summer that's going to make that a lot easier too. Lots and lots of things going on in the Chunky Yarn Blanketeers Facebook group also. You want first-hand knowledge of what I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to be launching and any new tutorials and any kind of tips and tricks and graphs and plushies. This great conversation. You might find somebody even that lives near you that you guys can have knitting parties. A lot of us do that. It's a lot of fun, especially around the holidays when we're making tons of gifts. Learn how to start your own blanket business. And of course, there will always be special discounts on my yarn for my Chunky Yarn Blanketeers. Yeah. Now, this is another way you can do it. Instead of just like leaving it folded in half, you can, kind of fold it like that and still twist it as you go so that your end one here doesn't get a big gap. Just kind of spread it back apart again like that. Go halfway. Sorry if I talk too low, just crank up the volume. I'm just a soft-spoken person. Tend to mumble sometimes when I'm knitting. Well, when I'm doing a tutorial. We're getting there. Isn't that a beautiful color, though? I wish you could see the pink. The camera's not really picking it up. That's why I wore a pink shirt, so that you can see that it's kind of pink. And, like, if you hold some, polyfill is pretty white. So if you hold polyfill up next to it, you can see it's pink. Might even have them do the next batch with a little more pink dye. creating lots of new colors this year you won't be able to get anywhere else. Just keep going in circles and pushing your loops through. Don't let plushies intimidate you. I know there's a lot of tutorials out there for them, and when you first see them, they look complicated. They're all basically starting off the same, like this. Just, you know, you just need a circle. And then my next plushie, I'll do one with arms and legs. This one is more like a bowling pin plushie to get started. And I'll show you how to do arms and legs. You basically pull up stitches, you know, when you cast all this off, and then you just pull stitches through in like a circular motion. And you can even stuff the arms and legs a little bit with your polyfill. Just like we're going to do the snout on this cow. It'll be the same way. And the ears. Those are things that you add afterwards. Okay, so remember this one is a 12 cast on. So I'll try to remember to measure the size of him when he's completely done. If I don't, just ask me in the comments and I will measure him up. Got a lot going on right now. And then you'll know how big one with the cast on of 12 comes out to be. And I'll write down how many rows I do going up also. If you don't have all of these craft supplies on hand either, and you want to do eyes and the little snout holes, you can use pieces of yarn too. I've seen lots of people do that. Just get a different color yarn, cut it into, like, tie a knot and then cut the ends off, hot glue that on, or just, you know, weave a stitch through for the eyes. You can get that fur yarn, like the fur reel, and cut little pieces of it off and put it above the eyes and make eyelashes. I'm going to teach you guys all my tips and tricks. I've been doing this for a while, and I've probably made 50 different kinds of plushies. I even made a wonderful Winnie the Pooh with a honey pot. I posted him on my Facebook page, which is Chunky Knitted Creations also. My TikTok, my Instagram, all named Chunky Knitted Creations. My Facebook group is Chunky Yarn Blanketeers because that was already an existing group, and the admin just decided she didn't want to do it anymore. She was more into crochet, and she said I could just have the group. So I wanted to keep the name the same to honor her because she started it a while ago. And there was a lot of existing group members there, and I just didn't want to go changing everything on them. And I like the name. It's kind of what we are. Alright, we'll go around one more time, and then we'll cast off the bottom. Again, the same way I did the round pillow, tire-shaped pillow, I guess you could call it, that I did in my last video. It's good to watch that one first, at least, before you do this. You might need more than one skein, maybe 1.5 if you make it this big. Just know that if you only have one skein of yarn and you want to try to make one of these, I would only cast on about 9, and then you'll still get a good sized cow. This is going to be, he's going to be pretty wide, as you can see. Even front and back, once we stuff him, he's going to be pretty big. Alright, so here's my cast on, or my tail right here. So I know that's where I started. And I'll count my stitches there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then it would be 12 including the cast on row. So let's close up the bottom so we can see how tall he's going to be. You're going to take this tail string here. Let me get this out of the way. And it's a little harder with variegated yarn like this to see what I'm doing. So this is the stitch that it's on. you want to go to the next stitch, the top of it, take the yarn and go, you can either go outside in or inside out. I think outside in on the bottom is best. Pull it through and then kind of cinch it a little bit. The first one will look a little wonky because of the way that we connected it at the bottom, but it's going to be underneath them. So then go to the next stitch, outside in, take your fingers and just kind of cinch it a little, kind of pull it this way and cinch it. Okay, again, grab the top of the stitch, stick your tail through it, pull out, grab this and just pull on that. It's like a cinch stack. Pull from the outside in again. We're going to do this all the way around to where we close up that hole, which it's already getting there. This yarn is really, really soft and silky, so it works very well for plushies when you're cinching like this. You don't want to use a stiff yarn. I'm sure you know what brand I'm talking about that's pretty stiff and thick. Alright, just go to the next stitch from the outside in and kind of weave it through. Hold tight, not so hard that you break it, but if you do, just burn it back together. Or tie it in a knot, however you want to do it. Okay, as you can see now, there's only a tiny little hole there that I can stick my finger through. I'm going to give it another good tug, tighten it up. Go through one more time. You can count how many you've actually casted through. There. Now with that last stitch, I can't even fit my finger through there. So I like to tie off right here and then push it through. Some people push their yarn through and then flip it over inside and go down inside there and tie it. This is just easier for me. But you want to tie it because eventually it would come loose after playing with it for a while. So there you go. Again, if you ever see your variegated yarn that looks like sometimes something is faded onto it, like the darker color has bled onto it just from packaging, just wash it first and use a Shout color catcher sheet and it'll pick up all that. I used to always wash every bit of yarn that I bought first. I use these net laundry bags. Just unwind the skein, put it inside there, put it in the washer on delicate cycle, cold water, and then you can lay it all flat to dry, which is kind of a pain. So I put it in my dryer on air fluff, no heat whatsoever. And let it fluff around, and that yarn comes out so big and fluffy that way. Okay, so look, almost looks like a hat. I mean, you could totally make this into a hat right now if you just cast off the bottom, put on a pom-pom beanie, but we're going to make it a cow. Okay, so this part of him is done, and I think this is tall enough to be his neck, to come up to his neck. So now I want the neck to curve in, so I'm going to reduce my stitches. And the way you do that is by combining. So we have 12 right now. We're going to take it down to 8 so that he can have a neck. And then we want his head to be smaller than his body, so we're going to bring it back up to 10. So 12, 8, 10, okay? So let's try that. So to combine stitches, this is where I left off. So normally you would just knit through this one. So we're going to stack 2 stitches. You can do it either way, or that way, okay? Stack. Take one stitch, put it over top of the other. Put your finger through that hole, okay? So to hold on to it, take your yarn and stitch through 2 stitches at once, okay? So now we're down to 11 stitches. And I don't like to stack them right next to each other because it kind of does leave a little crisscross. I wait till I get to the other side, depending on how many I'm reducing by. If you're making something like a llama with a super skinny neck, you might have to reduce every other stitch. Okay, so knit through a few more, and then I can see over here is where I joined 2 stitches. Now we're going to, actually I'm going to back up one, because I forgot I got to combine more. And you can always undo it if you don't have enough. Alright, let's count how many stitches we have now, because we're almost done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I want to reduce it one more time so that I have 8. So I'm going to knit 1 regularly and then combine 2 to get it down to 8. And then I'll show you how to increase after that. Okay, let's see if we have 8 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually 9. So we're going to combine one more, which these two are going to have to be right next to each other, which is okay. Again, do use variegated yarn for these things and you won't even be able to see where you combined it. Okay, now we have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8. So see how much smaller that is now. It curves in. Now he has a neck. So I'm going to knit through these 8 one more time. 1, 2, no more reducing right here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now I have 2 rows that I've only knitted 8 stitches on. So that's going to give him a nice small little neck. Okay, now I want to bring it back up to 10 because we were at 12 and then 8 for his tiny neck, and then I want his head to be a little bit bigger than the neck and a little bit smaller than the body. It's up to you. You can take it right back up to 12. Alright, so to increase back up, you're going to actually add a stitch back by finding that little line that goes right in between your stitches, okay? And you're going to pull a new stitch through it, okay? So we had 8, we had 8, and I'll show you again. Okay, right there's the line between 2 stitches. This one's already kind of loose. So you're going to knit a new stitch right there through that line. Alright, and it created a new one right there. So now I have 9. Alright. And I make it a little bigger because that way it'll even out with the other ones. 9. Okay, so now we're going to knit through again. 2, and then I'll increase on the other side, kind of across from where I added that one. 5, okay. So now again, I'm on 2 stitches here, and I'm going to grab the spot right between those 2 stitches and pull a loop through it and make it a little longer. Okay, so now I should have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. Now I'm just going to knit up till I get enough rows for his head. Usually about 6, I think, should be enough to make a head. So I did 12 rows here, 12 rows of 12, 2 rows of 8, and then we'll see how many we're going to do of 6. Now I'm just knitting regularly. I'm not adding any stitches or decreasing any. We're all done with that. We've still got this much yarn left, so definitely 1 is going to be enough because we're not going to need much more. And then you'll also want, it's a good idea to get another color to do the face in so that it'll stand out better. But if you don't have one, you can just use what you got. A light pink works really good for the snout and for the little horns that we're going to put on it. The ears, we're going to add ears. I always make the ears the same color as the body. Just think about what a real cow would look like. His ears usually match his body, and his horns are different color. Sorry if I'm using the wrong terminology. Don't know if they're called horns. I'm not a farmer. So you can see where I increased right here because it looks a little different, and that's how I count from there how many rows I've added. So you want to actually, I should have knitted that a little tighter there so you can't see that hole. So the other type of cow that I made in the picture, the big round one, no increasing, no decreasing, no change in the amount. Just do, I believe that one I cast it on 24. He was really big and I charged like $50 for him. He ended up being about that big around, like the size of a squishmallow almost. Those are a lot easier. No increasing, no decreasing. Just cast on 24 and go all the way up. stuff him, close him off, and then add the ears and the horn and everything like I'm going to show you on here, and the snout exactly the same. So those are a lot easier. They'll just make like a round ball cow. But I wanted to show you this method too because I like the bowling pin shaped cow also. And these were a very, very big seller in my shop, just so you know. I generally don't make them in this color. I just wanted to show off my new color. I usually make them two-tone, and I add spots by burning in another color for a few rows, and I can show you that on another stuffed animal. Alright, we're getting close to 6 rows. Then we're going to stuff him and see if his head looks big enough. All the people in my group are going to be so happy. This is one tutorial we don't have as the cow plushie. And we need quite a few more plushies if I do say so. Gonna have about 20 different blanket tutorials by the time I'm done. Blankets we know are our favorite. And the way these close up on the top, if you're not sure and you didn't count your stitches like me, I can get lazy with that. You know, if I don't know like where I started and where I left off with this one, if you only did a half a row as your last row, it's not going to show because you're going to cinch it together just like you did on the bottom here. Okay, I think this is about where I left off, because you can also tell, look, see, I still need to stitch over here to even this out, but I'm not done with this row, but I believe this is going to be my last row. Let's figure out. Okay, this is where I started increasing, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I'm at 5 rows, so we'll do one more. I'll bring it closer to me so I can speed up. I am going to invest in a smaller table for my next tutorial so that you guys can see me better. I'm sitting here stretched halfway across this big farmhouse table. Let's see. Alright, there's where I decreased, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, we're at 6 now. Okay, now time for the fun stuff. Get the polyfill and just keep shoving it in and shaping them to get them to where you want. This is a, let's see, 16-ounce bag of polyfill, and it really does go a long way. I made a pillow with it so far, and another plushie, and it's barely even put a dent in it. So just keep stuffing inside there. And you can even stuff when you get right here. Some people like to stuff as they go. Especially if you're making a big plushie, you want to do that. You want to make his bottom bigger and kind of flatter so he'll stand up. That's one problem I kind of have with these guys sometimes, is they don't want to stand up if you don't shape the bottom right. And then just keep turning him over and packing it in. Make it as firm or as squishy as you want it. I like them to be a little on the softer side. Again, so the polyfill doesn't show. If you stuff it really tight, then you better make sure that you knit very small so that it doesn't show through. Especially if you do just a solid dark color yarn, you'll really, if you don't knit tight enough, which I did pretty good. I can't see any polyfill really through here. Alright, we're getting there. As you can see, he's getting pretty round. And then you can kind of squeeze his neck in a little so that you get a better shape there. And push down on him. Alright. I'm going to put a little more in the head. And then I'm going to close it up. You can partially close it up and see how it looks. And then add more polyfill. Some people like to add their eyes and stuff, the button-on eyes. They like to put them on now before they close up, but I can't do that for me because I feel like I can never get the eyes in the right spot. If I do that, I have to see it closed up and see the head. So what I'm doing now is just pulling on all of my stitches to make sure that I didn't drop any while I was stuffing it, because when you're stuffing it, yeah, see that one started to come out, so just pull it back through. Try to even them out here, especially when you're doing small stitches. Alright, he's looking cute. Okay, so to cast off, you're going to need enough to go around twice. So I usually kind of measure going around once and then go around. Actually, about 1.5 times. This should be all you need. Alright, so here we go. It's kind of hard with this fluffy stuff in the way, but this is where I left off. So I'm going to go to the first stitch, and I'm going to go from the inside out when you're at the top. It just works a lot better that way. Don't worry about your polyfill. We'll secure that more later. So just take the end. It's a lot easier here because you're just going to push it through that loop and pull out. Okay. Go to the next one. Go from the inside of the loop out. Next one, inside out. You actually probably could have just did one length of yarn for the cast off. I'm just always afraid I'm going to run out. Alright, you don't have to really cinch these as you go when you're doing the top because it's not quite the same as the bottom. It'll cinch real easy. Actually, this is my favorite part. And you probably could go from the outside in. It's really just preference. It's just the way I've always done it. And I've watched tons and tons of tutorials. I have learned this. I've been in a lot of Facebook groups over the years, and I've been on YouTube, and just I've taken classes and all kinds of things, and I do not claim any of these patterns to ever be my own, because most of them I've learned from other videos, and I modify them sometimes, and sometimes I don't. So I don't ever claim any of these to be my own. Okay, so I'm on my last stitch, okay, and I'm going to hold on to this one. This is the first stitch that I closed up, and this is the last one, because when I'm done, I'm going to go through this one more time to secure it. So this is the magic. You can just grab this now and pull, and it should pull the whole thing shut, except for that last stitch that I just told you to hold on to. If one pops out, just put your fingers in there, loosen back up again. Sometimes when we're doing this, we can actually, you know, either miss a stitch or just it didn't get cinched right. So I'm going to loosen it back up again, just start tugging on it. Okay, you could also do like I did on the pillow, you can just knit through it again, but I'm just going to show you how to undo it. Alright, so this is my working yarn. I'm going to push it back through and fix my mistake. See, after all these times I've made so many of these, I still make mistakes, especially when I'm doing a tutorial because I'm not looking at it, you know, so it's really hard. I'm trying to face it to the camera so that you guys can see it, and then I miss a stitch sometimes. So I'm going to quickly undo it, just push it back through until you can see this over here. Of course it happened in the beginning, you know, my polyfill is going to get through it. So I'm just going to redo that one more time. And I'm not even going to edit this out. I'm just going to let you guys see how to fix your mistakes, because we all make them. Alright, so just undo it. Just keep pulling them through. You can't see. All I'm doing is just pulling the working yarn back through the holes, just reversing it to the one that I missed. Alright. I don't know if I missed it or if it fell out, but it's okay. I think I actually skipped a stitch. Alright, let's start over. Pull them all. Make sure all of your loops are standing up so that you don't miss them. And if any polyfill got stuck on there, you just, okay, that. All right. So you'll get a second round of how to close it up. You won't have to rewind. Okay, so stuff your polyfill back in. Go from the inside out. Carefully. I really don't know how I missed that one because, again, I was holding on to every stitch, making sure I went to the one next to it, but it's possible. I was talking my head off here and that I wasn't paying attention. There we go. And when you're done, you can always take your, like a lint roller, and run it across here for any polyfill that got stuck to your edges at the top. Really picky when it comes to my plushies. Okay, did it again. Got them all. I didn't miss one. Grab that, cinch it up. Okay. You can see where your working yarn is. Just keep pulling until the head closes up, okay? And then if you want, you can see where it came out. You can go to the previous stitch and push it through again. Okay. Just to secure it a little more, just pull it through. Now it's all closed up there. He kind of looks like a snowman. Until we're done. Alright, just keep squeezing his neck. And you can make this, flatten this out a little more so it looks more like a bowling pin shaped. Okay. Alright, so again on the top, I have like a really long piece left over, and I don't want to stick all that in there because I like my scrap yarn blankets and I save all these. So I'm just going to cut a few inches off, or leave a few inches there. Tie a knot. Grab this and tie a knot just like you did on the bottom piece so that it doesn't come undone. Make a knot. Find your hole right there. Your center piece and just shove that yarn down inside there. Alright, there is your base. Okay, you could use this again for pretty much any kind of plushie that you want to make, and just, you know, decorate it differently for it to be a different type of animal. Okay, so now we will do the snout, and we'll pick a different color yarn for that. Give me 1 second, and sorry about that. All right, I decided I actually wanted to use ivory for his snout. So for this, he's a smaller size, so you want to make a smaller snout. You're going to pull up 3 stitches, excuse my phone, 3 to 4 stitches in a circle just to make a little snout. And what I mean by pulling up stitches is this. So you're going to get your piece of yarn and you figure out about where you want his snout. Okay, I do this part first because it's easier to center his face around it. So I'm going to start down here closer to his neck, and you'll do this a couple times in the beginning and take it apart and put it back in. So you grab a piece of the stitching that's going this way, and you take this yarn and you push a loop through it, okay, and make them tight. All right, so see how I've got a loop, this is the working yarn, coming up out of the yarn, and then you'll do the same thing. You'll go kind of in a circle. All right, so I have to stand up for this part, and this one you'll go sideways, so you'll find a piece that's going this way and pull a stitch through there. Okay, so now I've got 2. We're gonna figure out how it's gonna fit for his face, and then I'll turn it this way and find the string right here, and push another stitch through. This was the end, end of the working yarn. Just kind of keep that in the middle. We'll stuff it. You could tie a knot there if you want. Alright, I made it a little close to the neck just because, again, I don't really want his face to be that big. So then I'm going to find, so that we have 4, you know, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put another one down here and see how that looks. There we go. Pull up a stitch for the snout, okay? So now you've got 4 and then your working yarn in the middle. And you're going to knit through those just like you would anything else. You're going to take your working yarn, and you really only need 2 rows for the snout. And pull another stitch through each one of these. Leave the working yarn piece in the middle. Alright, so now we have 2. I know it's kind of hard to see. Alright, so each stitch that I did, I'm just pulling another one through it. Okay, so now I've got 4 stitches with 2 rows. Okay, and then we're going to cast this off and close it up so that we have like a little snout there. Sorry, it's hard to see. So we're going to close that up. So cut your yarn, your working yarn. Give yourself about 6 to 8 inches. Alright, take this, just like you would when you're closing up the head. You're going to take your working yarn, go through the loop, pull it, go through the top loop from the inside out, pull that through, another one here, inside out, another one there, inside out. Alright, let's see how we're looking here. And then just kind of finagle it the way that you want it. Okay, and then go through your first stitch again with that working yarn. Alright, so now you've got something like that. Okay, you can also make a duck this way too. And then tie a knot in your working yarn if you've got enough. You can also glue this down. I made mine a little too short, but I will get a knot. Okay, so I tied a little knot there, and then I'm just going to shove it down in the middle. And again, I might end up putting some glue on there if it starts popping out. So you got a little cow snout there. Okay, we're going to put eyes here. We're going to put 2 horns here and ears on the side. So let's go to the ears next. The ears, I do the same color as the body. So I'm going to go back to my original variegated yarn. And you want the ears about, you know, centered on the side of the head there. And you're just going to pull up 2 stitches. Okay, so I count how many rows over. I went 1, 2, 3 for this one. And then I make sure, actually I'm going to go 4. So I'll go 4 because I want them to be over farther. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our working yarn, pull up a stitch, pull up another one next to it. You can make these ears as big or as little as you want. So I've got 2. Alright. And then I'm going to come from the back, push through a stitch, knit through it one more time. Alright. And knit through it again. So we've got 2 rows of 2 sticking up. Okay. Now I know I'm almost done with my ears. So again, I'm going to cut off my yarn. And I'm going to take those top 2 and combine them so that we have a triangle shape. Alright, and then I'm going to knit through them again. This is kind of like combining stitches like we did earlier. Come from the back. It can be pretty hard sometimes because it's tight. You want tight stitches. Push that through. And now you have a little loopy sticking up. Okay. And then you're going to take the working yarn from the back. Push it through that hole. Pull it out. And your ear is pretty much done. Okay. Take the excess and weave it through the side. Okay. Just pull up your stitches here, weave it through so that it's not just sticking up. See, we got a little ear sticking out. And then what I do is I take the working yarn end that I started with and this one, and I tie them together in the back. You can also, I usually burn them too, but you can just tie them together, tuck them in somewhere, or hot glue them, whatever you want, but just for time's sake, I'm just going to tuck them in for now. But normally I would actually take these myself and light the ends on fire and burn it. In fact, I'll do that for you, sorry, because it's not wanting to stay down. So I'm just going to trim these fuzzies off a little. I'll use my candle lighter this time. Beautiful big candle lighter. Light the end of it so that I get that wax in the middle of the string on fire and get it melted. Push it up against a stitch next to it. It will stick to your fingernails sometimes, so be careful. You might want to use those little fingertip protectors. Okay, see now it's going to stay together and I don't got to worry about hot gluing it. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. I normally don't burn myself anymore, but I'm again trying to do this in a different angle so that you can see it. Light the end. Get it good hot. Grab a stitch to stick it to. Pinch them together. Try not to burn yourself. You will get calluses over time and you won't feel that anymore. There we go. Alright. So look at that. We got a cute little cow ear. I'm going to go down the other side and do the same thing. Make sure you line them up. You can count how many rows over you went. Just kind of hold them up. I'll try to do this. I don't got a lot of camera space. Hold them up. Go over here. You want them right alongside each other. You'll want to face it towards you so that you can see what you're doing here. Sorry. I'm just going to do this other ear real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4 over from the snout. 1, 2, 3, 4 over from the snout. Okay, I'll show you again. Pull through the back. Pull a stitch through. Grab another line here. Pull another stitch through. Okay, actually, I'm going to redo that because I need the working yarn to be a little longer here so that I can tie it. I always forget that. And then you won't have to burn it if you leave those ends longer. Alright, so I pulled through 2 stitches, you can see there. And then I'm going to knit through them again. Alright. So, grab your working yarn. Knit through those. So we've got 2 rows of 2 stitches, alright? Then we're going to take those 2 stitches, stack them on top of each other to combine so that we have a V shape, and then pull the other and knit through them, okay? That's what I did before. I'm showing you from the back this time. Now we're going to cut about 4 inches again. Alright, so you've got the start of your working yarn, your end of your working yarn. I like to make that top stitch really small. Pull that through it from the back. Alright. Take it and weave it through the sides of the stitches. You can go front to back, back to front, whatever looks better for you. Sorry. Alright. You can do it all the way down or just one side, however you want. So it's shaped the way that you like this. Take these 2 pieces, tie them together. This one I'm not going to burn because it's long enough. Alright, tie them again. Or just tie them once, whatever you want to do. And just tuck them down inside one of these holes here. You can hot glue them so they don't come out. If you're going to give this to a kid, you know, you're going to want to glue everything down. See, you can see you've got kind of a funny little pointy shaped ear. But it looks really cute when you're done. Alright, his snout's a little wonky right now, but we'll fix that. Okay, so now next we're going to do the horns on the top of his head, just like we did the ears, but we're only going to do 1 row or 2 rows of 1. So we're going to pull 1 stitch through the top of his head and then knit through it once. And for this, I want these to be a different color than the ears so they don't think that he's got 2 sets of ears. So this, I will use my white. And again, light pink looks really good for these too. Alright, so I'm going to put 1 here and 1 here because it just looks kind of centered with my face when I do that. Leave a little bit of a tail there. Pull through a stitch. Okay. And then knit through that stitch one more time. Okay, so you can see now, I've got a bad camera angle for something that you've got this little horn sticking up there. Okay, and then just like we did with the ear, trim this off here. Let's see. I'm gonna see what it looks like if I knit through it, but I might just leave that sticking up. Okay, so you can try to pull your yarn through the front. Yeah, I'm not gonna knit through it. It looks better as a loop for this. So just pull up 2 stitches, tie them off in the back. Sorry, it's really hard to show you guys this detail. Tie them together and tuck everything into the back of the head. Pull down on this when you do and tuck it down real tight, and then his ear will stand up, or horn, sorry. Excuse my trimmings. Alright, so this is what it looks like from the back. Alright, and that he's upside down here, but you can see 2 ears and a little horn sticking up there. So let's do another one real quick, right next to it. Pull a stitch through one of these, pull another stitch through, and then cut some string. Take both ends in the back, tie them together, and then shove them down inside the head. I'm just doing this the quick way. Normally I would glue and burn everything together, so if I was selling this or giving this as a gift. So now you can see an upside down version. It's easier for me to show it to you that way of his snout. So now you guys can do your eyes and nose however you want, but I put 2 eyes here with either gluing on pom-poms or snapping on those snap-on eyes that I showed you that I will link. And then I like to put 2 little black dots here for the snout, so it'll look more like a real cow snout. But I use these little tiny brown ones, and I'll hot glue one here and one here. Okay, so I mean, you can even leave him like this. He's pretty cute. His face looks off-centered, but it's really not. It's just because you can see the white from the variegated yarn. And you know, my camera makes the pink look white. But there you go. You have a cow, and he's adorable. And practice makes perfect on these. Again, if you want to make the fatter one, just don't decrease or increase right here. Just use the same amount of stitches, make him a big round ball, and then add on the ears and the snout and the top. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. Like, subscribe, comment, join Chunky Yarn Blanketeers. Links to my yarn, as usual, will always be in the comments. And ask me questions there or come to the group. I'm in the group all the time, so I can, you know, pretty much answer live there for you. And so can all the other girls. All right, have a great day. Bye.